Now, if we apply the cognitive fit theory to this context, we come up with this. We actually have a dual task problem solving problem. First one is problem situation conceptualization subtask, and we can actually reach this conclusion that the problem structuring methods serve as external representations for carrying out this problem situation conceptualization subtask. So without them, it would be difficult for the stakeholders to conceptualize the problem situation. So they use this as external representation in order to retrieve those tacit knowledge or the knowledge residing in the minds of the stakeholders about the issues that give rise to the problem situation. So basically we can come up with this proposition that ST model results in higher performance in problem solving if the format and the type of the knowledge emphasized in the problem structuring method, which is an external representation, triggers the elicitation and the retrieval processes of tacit knowledge, mental models, and causal structures residing in the stakeholder's mind. So if it's something that can help stakeholders with this retrieval and the elicitation of this type of knowledge, then that problem structuring method is working fine. On the other hand, we have this model construction subtask. Then the interesting point about this is that this problem situation conceptualization serves as an external representation for the ST modeler when he wants to carry out the cognitive task of ST model construction. So if the type of the knowledge emphasized here is similar to the type of the knowledge required here, it will be a lot easier for the modeler to actually carry out the task, which means if, for example, we want to build causal loop diagrams, and then the PSM that we use here to carry out this task is based on causal structures, then the ST modeler can use it here and can carry out the task much easily. So if these two if these two conditions exist, then we have problem-solving performance with ST. On the other hand, there's a lot of research going on the importance of diagrams in the external cognition, or as the external representations. They're basically the seminal paper of Lack and Simon, 1987, is about why a diagram is sometimes worth 10,000 words. So there's a lot of this. And we've all heard from high school when our teachers told us a good drawing or a good diagram is half the solution, probably. So we basically pose this second proposition that the more graphical the conceptualization of the problem situation, the higher the performance of the problem solving. Now from these three propositions, we come up with these characteristics. That the ideal PSM should be graphical, diagrammatic, rather than sentential, to result in a better cognitive fit. It should be lightweight, to be well and commonly understood by the stakeholders. So if it's something which is complicated, then they have a hard time to apply it as an external representation. So imagine the example of the Roman numeric system. So if you use that as an external representation, no one can carry out the problem-solving task of the multiplication. Then it should be a multi-viewpoint method, so that it ensures that all the different mental models and different point of views and perspectives of the stakeholders are captured. Otherwise, some may be actually left out, and some cannot actually contribute to the conceptualization of the problem situation. And finally, it should have modeling constructs that are close to constructs used in ST. These constructs could be stock and flow diagrams or perhaps CLDs, to avoid the re-representation and the re-interpretation of the conceptualization by the ST modeler. This is also important. So there should be a close notational relationship between the PSM applied in problem situation conceptualization and the task of the model building, which entails the development of stock and flow diagrams or causal loop diagrams. Now the current state of research is actually we're doing an analysis and a synthesis of the existing problem structuring methods that have been applied or could be applied in the problem structuring with system dynamics, and we're currently building an understanding of these existing methods. And the next step would be actually to analyze them from a notational point of view, which is a little bit involves the software engineering task. Then in another stream of research in our laboratory in Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Lausanne, the Systemic Modeling Laboratory, we are actually working on a family of systemic modeling methods. We call them SEAM, the acronym for Systemic Enterprise Architecture Method. And these methods we have been so far applied in problem structuring and the IT context, more business and IT alignment, or enterprise architecture, or requirements engineering. Now we're actually thinking of bringing them into the domain of system model building with system dynamics. So this is the second stream of research we're working on, and we're actually this is how it actually works in problem structuring. When we apply systemic enterprise architecture method, we have meetings with stakeholders. In these meetings, we actually come up with some model sketches. Then these models are drawn more precisely with the CAD tool we have developed in the lab. And then we come up with the neat models. These models are shared with the stakeholders and then reiterate so that we can capture the mental models of the stakeholders, and we can have a model as precise as possible that can correspond to the things they have and the concerns they have. We're also trying to understand how we can actually work in terms of the visual notations, and to do a comparison between the visual notations used in the system dynamics, and primarily stock and flow diagrams, and our modeling methods, which are very similar to enterprise modeling methods. So this is another stream of research we're currently carrying out in our laboratory. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and I will be glad if you could comment and tell me your ideas and share some thoughts about this. Thanks a lot, and